There is a fifth dimension.
A dimension of sound.
Damn it, Frank! We tell him to be quiet. I spilled my hot cup of Uranus again.
A dimension of sight.
Hey, Arch. I'm gonna sock you in the puss.
A dimension of mind.
Nan Adams, is that you?
Next stop, the Twilight Zone.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Fifth Dimension of Twilight Zone podcast. I am your host, Nick. We are recording for the second time on this episode because apparently my nose and my allergies decide they don't want to work properly. We're here to talk another episode of the Twilight Zone. As always, we are on audio feeds because I never remember to say that every time. But we are on Apple, Amazon Music, Google Play, Cups of Uranus, all that good stuff. But I am, of course, here with my co-hosts, the ones that decided, yes, I will come back for more because we love to talk to the hosts and we are co-hosts and we are long distance people. Yeah, the host was the mostest. We are kind of like the grandma where we are talking on a phone of sorts on the age of the digital internet. We might be dead. I don't know at this point. We might be trying to kill little children. I don't know at this point either. But yeah. Jacob's just he's gaining more kids just to raise an army and kill them. It's good times. Yeah, that went dark like this episode.
Speaking of dark,
yeah. But anyways, my co-hosts are here with me as usual. They are, of course, the coughing, the one that is going to die of whatever ailment she
cover your mouth.
Decides.
I am. Look, you're nowhere near me. Screw you.
You don't know me. You don't know me. But of course, the person you hear coughing is Triv of Trivial Theater. How you doing, Triv? What's up? Welcome back.
I still sound like a husky sex operator.
Ooh.
Not sure if that's good or bad. I think I'm the.
Is that like a bear sex place?
Probably.
Thanks for calling 1-800
The fifth dimension after dark.
Oh yeah.
Oh good lord.
Ooh.
So you guys dicks or pussies?
I'm an asshole. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I get shit on a lot.
An asshole.
Or I shit on people a lot.
You shit on people a lot.
So does that make Jacob Chuck? Are you Chuck? Are you the one that we talk to when we're really drunk? We start doing
Sure.
talks about dicks, pussies, and assholes.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
I'm
Why
always
not?
open to a conversation about dicks,
That's what she
pussies,
said.
and assholes.
Oh man.
I've been told all those things at some point in my life, I'm sure.
And maybe at the same time.
Yeah.
So spit roasted.
Night right there.
Right. So how have you guys been?
Wow, Jesus, this conversation go already.
Yeah, I mean Jacob's dealing with tornadoes. Triv is dealing with not being able to taste anything, and I'm just here in the ether of Florida, hearing police cars go by every 5 seconds.
Florida man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I did just watch today a Netflix documentary about Kai, the hitchhiking wielding
the Hatchet Man.
Yeah, the Hatchet Man.
Oh, is that out? I
Dude.
saw that. I saw that. The little advertisement pop up on Netflix of that.
Well, the funny thing is, like, Netflix
Is it a documentary or is it a?
Yeah, it's like an hour and 20-minute documentary, but it's basically Netflix has become the trash cinema of documentary filmmaking. So like they'll put out stuff about like
there's a million YouTube videos about that out there.
Oh, I know. This is like we're gonna spend an hour and 20 minutes talking about his descent from being famous 3 months going to jail for killing a 70-year-old man. It's just like good old Netflix. They're trash cinema.
Well, if you look at like CoffeeZilla, like Netflix have like tried to go after a lot of YouTubers or at least their information, and then they just get dumped like there's no tomorrow. Yeah,
Netflix has a habit of copyright claiming my videos, and then you just kind of have to dispute them, and then they release the claim most of the time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why? I showed like three. I don't know. It's kind of annoying
because
like
the movies
minutes.
that I do are absolute garbage. That's why.
I don't know. I mean, I've seen some
by Hammer Films.
Yeah,
that is true.
Or whatever that cat guy is.
Wild Eye releasing.
Yeah, Wild Eye.
Or Lionsgate.
Oh, Lionsgate.
I'm sorry,
Trev.
You have standards. You wouldn't go It's a wild eye.
My first video out the gate was Wild Eye. I did the Amazing Bulk.
I'm sorry.
I got nothing against Wild Eye.
I do.
I just don't do them on a regular basis.
They send me screeners all the time.
Nice.
I
Those
get
Wild Eye DVDs.
This is let's talk about this episode. It's
Real
a very
quick though, if you're gonna talk your grandkid into killing themselves, do you wear like the fancy brooch and stuff like that old lady did?
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's a new America. You know, this is the kind of stuff men wear in 2023.
Cool.
Yeah. You know, we are the Harry Styles of the world. We wear women's clothes and we are proud of it.
You go full on Victorian fashion.
Yeah, right.
And we spit on people.
Wow. Okay.
Anybody remember that?
Yeah.
So today, as we discussed, dark material.
His Dark Materials? Great.
Yeah,
show.
exactly.
Yeah, this could be some His Dark Materials. This is an interesting episode because it's season 2, episode 22. It's called Long Distance Call, directed by James Sheldon, written by Charles Beaumont, production code 173-3667, premiered March 31st, 1961. Now, we talked about a lot of this when we first recorded the first time until my nose and my allergies decided that we couldn't record anymore. Plus, I was really tired. Jacob brought up the good point that this was actually not written or produced by Rod Serling. He just was in a hurry to get to the set because apparently he was late, smoking or something like that. They're like, Rod, you need on set. He's like, I got a cigarette one. Give me a second. It's like, we're filming right now. Oh shit. And he throws it out and just lights another one as he's walking. And
well, the first half of the narration is clearly voiceover, which he's not there because I thought, which I mentioned this, but I thought I was like, oh wow, this is the first one this season we're not going to see him, and then he just like halfway through the narration, the audio even slightly changes. They cut it together pretty good, but like it clearly goes from pre-recorded audio or recorded later on, whichever, to him talking. And he like comes to the living room like, oh, I'm here. And this and this and that and this.
He's probably still fighting with the tree from the last episode. He's like, he's been in a boxing match. He's yelling he's like the old man in the clouds yelling at the tree.
There's a line of ash from like his dressing room to like where they were going.
Yeah. It doesn't specify why he didn't produce or write this. I mean, Charles Beaumont wrote a lot of Twilight Zone, but it doesn't specify why he didn't produce it. So I don't know if he was just tired and needed a break for once, but he still came in and did the narration for it. So I don't know. It's weird. It feels like an episode that I'm going to be honest with you. I really enjoy this episode, but this episode is the Nightmare of the Child episode.
As a child, where it's just, it may be the next episode is 100 yards over the rim. I don't know how. I don't remember that episode at all. But it feels like Charles Beaumont had some childhood angst that he needed to get off his chest or something like that. Or like I said, he's known for doing like the darkness of humanity and stuff like that. Well, the first draft of this one was actually not like, it was submitted by a writer, and it actually got taken to a lawsuit. This one and Static both got taken for a lawsuit to get the writer credit by the guy that did it.
It's also darker. There was a scene,
a dark
scene in the
end.
That
was for a different reason though too.
Well, yeah, this is the mom, but
the mom's like, you ain't putting my kid in the pool and having it upside down. Fuck that shit. Yeah,
well, this
I
is also speaking of that. This was the first of 3 appearances of Bill Mumy, who went on to do Will Robinson from Lost in Space.
Danger, Will Robinson.
Yeah.
Danger.
But it is
the older one, just for anybody who didn't know.
Exactly. I mean, unless he was still like 10 years old in 1990, whatever.
I know, right?
In the Twilight,
he never ages.
Yeah. I mean, he is the guy that put everybody into the cornfield. So
God. But it stars Philip Abbott as Charles Bales, Lili Darvas as Grandma Bales, Patricia Smith as Sylvia Bales, and Bill Mumy as Billy Bales. Yeah, like I said, this is Billy's first of 3 episodes. He is more known for, of course, the really fucked up episode about him with powers. I know that's a classic episode, but like the Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, I gotta ask you guys: do you think that episode is? Do you think the Twilight Zone movie version is better, or do you think that episode is better? Like with those 2 comparisons.
Well, of the episode based on the It's a Good Life,
yeah,
in the cornfield.
Yeah, like like would say that It's a Wonderful Life, and then It's a Wonderful Life in the movie. I think the movie version is a little bit better, just because it's more darker and
It
sinister
definitely
than I
goes
think.
darker.
Well,
Yeah,
I
I like
haven't.
Joe Dante too.
I've
Yeah.
seen them, but I mean, I haven't like watched.
But
We
you
haven't
know
gotten
the
to the.
concept, right?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't gotten to the episodes yet. I mean, I know the
Mm.
William Shatner Nightmare or whatever at 30,000 feet or whatever it is. I like the one in the movie. The one in the movie stands out to me more because I think I saw it first.
Makes sense.
And the cornfield one, which I know is fairly different in the movie. It's a bit different. And there's also the kick the can one, but we haven't gotten
We
to
don't
any of
talk
those
about that.
episodes yet, so I can't really.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, just
The
a kind of a
Spielberg one
little bit of sidebar. Dan started watching all the episodes, and now he's like almost almost up to us on the episode count. And it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool that we've influenced people to watch the Twilight Zone. So that's always a cool thing. But
Very much.
we didn't mention, but this is also the final videotaped episode.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, yeah, thank God.
It looks pretty good. Like it looks pretty solid.
You can tell you can tell, but it doesn't it doesn't distract or detract from the episode like that first one with the robots. That one, it's like the
Lateness
whole time
of the hour. Yeah.
it was like, oh my god, yeah, the whole time it was like in your face. Like this one, when it first started, I was like, yeah, this video. It didn't, for me at least, it didn't stand out as much as an episode.
22 does as well. I think when you have certain settings, I think it's a little bit easier on the eyes, because you look like the machine one and the Santa Claus one, it really shows. Yeah, there's not a lot of movement in this.
If you have a more stationary camera for a lot of the time and it's darker, which this has a lot more darker scenes, but it's when the camera moves, that's when you can really tell it.
Yeah,
it has that smoother, it's a higher frame rate than they usually shoot, because this video is usually at 60 frames, and everything else is at 30, either 24 to 30.
I would say even the quality of the video, like the quality of the restoration of the video too, makes a difference.
Well, yeah, that too. I mean,
like
they're a little, they got the gauze and blur bloom going on.
Well, and the like static had a lot of like wear and tear on the video, whatever print they used, at least on the copy that I had. Sure. Definitely showed it to be more VHS than
remastered.
Not well.
Or not well, at least.
Yeah, that's the weird thing about watching the Paramount Plus. They're all remastered, so a lot of it I think is, I don't know if it's necessarily improved, but they definitely kept a lot of the mistakes in there. Actually, I got to ask you guys before we even start, did you notice the boom mic or somebody in the shot?
Like there was early on in the top.
Yeah, it was like yeah. I think it was the boom mic or somebody was in the shot. I'm like, oh man, you would never see that in a regular filmed version of the Twilight Zone, because I think those cameras they were using for the videotaped are like studio.
They would be
cameras.
Studio cams,
yeah. So I think like maybe they just don't know to use them properly, or they just made a mistake. But I was like, man, this is some Game of Thrones level shit. We gotta investigate this.
It might have just been too that like they weren't used to like operating them. I'm sure that they were probably like a standard type of thing. But you shoot on film for so long, and then your boom guys come to this. That's gonna be a different kind of a deal. Yeah, and probably timing too, because it's not like they were going to take 20 takes. They probably were back, were live switching it as much as possible. Yeah, it's true.
I think Dan mentioned something about that. Something I never knew before about them live switching.
Yeah, that's why I bring it up. So,
but as far as this episode goes, like last week's episode, it's not a complex episode, but the meanings and ideas behind it are actually super, super dark and disturbing, because the grandmother, we are introduced to Billy, his family, which is Chris and Sylvia. They're throwing a birthday party, a fifth birthday party for Billy, but the grandma comes in and she's obviously very, very sick. And it starts out just like, I had mentioned this yesterday when we first recorded. I had just seen Women Talking, which is a very dour and dark and depressing film, but a very good film. And then I go into this movie or this episode watching it like right after I'd done my recording for that. And you automatically notice just how upsetting this episode is, just on the nature. This is like the Purple Heart or Purple Testament and stuff like that, where it's just like it feels like all the energy is just kind of focused on just like mortality of human life and what we truly value and everything. And I don't know, I mean, going into this episode, did you expect to come out of it going, it's a good episode, but I don't think I'm ever going to watch this again. I don't think I'm never going to watch this episode again because it just bothered me so much after watching it. But what do you guys think?
I've seen this episode a couple times, I guess, marathons and whatnot. But yeah, it's definitely one that leaves you like, you look at the way that it was previewed last week, and it's kind of previewed as a little bit more light and airy and all that stuff, and then you get into it and it goes pretty hardcore dark. So I think if you went into it blind and saw the preview and then you saw the way it is, I would question if it was the right episode or if they left stuff out or if there was a mistake somewhere along the way.
I'm gonna lie, this one didn't really speak to me as much.
Really?
Yeah, I like the idea behind it, and there were some shots in it, like the thing where the mom listens on the phone. I thought that was done well. I don't know, something about this one was just like off. I like the idea behind it. I mean, I'm with you. Like the subject matter, I wouldn't want to watch it again just for that reason. But just the overall episode, I didn't hate it, but I just was like, it just seemed off. Like the whole time, I can't really say exactly what it was. It just seemed like it was missing something.
Well, that's the thing about it. Like when you watch it, you feel sympathy for the grandmother. She's very, very sick. You feel sympathy for the family. The grandmother is a very terrible individual. She's awful because not only is she like she recognizes Billy as like her son, even though Chris is her son. She treats Sylvia like some kind of redheaded stepchild or something.
My son was taken away from me by a woman.
Oh my god, that line, like, holy shit. That, I mean, because you do like the whole mama's boy or that, that whole thing. Holy oof.
Mm-hmm.
But I think too the fact that like coming from, because clearly, I think German or whatever she was,
or Polish or something. I got World War II vibes.
Oh, very much.
Yeah.
But even with that in mind, I think that there is definitely a different mentality of, okay, because she lost 2 kids and this is like her only kid, and she's gonna be extra like, you're my son, but now you're not my son because you married this slut over here or whatever. Hussy. There you go.
It feels like one of those grandmothers who just went through a lot of shit, and I've always heard stories about like when people die, like their mentality changes on certain things, like in how they view things when they're like at their last breath or whatever. But I was like, holy shit, she's coughing and hacking up shit. She has no interest in being around Sylvia. Billy, she gives a phone with a cord. I think we talked about this too, where the fact
that it's a toy phone but it's got a cord, that's so weird.
Yeah, we were talking about like, is he going to use it to like strangle himself or something like that? I don't know, but it's at this point when they take the grandmother up to the room for her to die, because this is a very uplifting episode, that Rod Serling runs in from his smoke break or whatever and does the opening narration.
I would also, before we get into that, I would like to add, like, that's such a, you think about the way that, like, if a parent or grandparent lives with you, and you think about the fact that you keep them on the first floor, it's like they kept her on the upper floor, kind of like in the tower, and they're like, okay, grandma, we're gonna bring you down, make sure to put on your best dress. Okay, we're gonna take you back up now. We don't want to see you again for the next 6 months.
Well, they were clearly over her shit too. I mean,
yeah,
like they're sitting there and she like walks in the room and says something, and they both just kind of look at each other like, this shit again.
Like that when they're like, oh, Billy, we got you this toy that you really wanted, and she's like, Billy, I got this creepy ass phone for you.
She did have that like whole overbearing grandparent thing where it was like her parents were trying to do like his birthday with him, and she was there of course and invited, but it's like she tried to come in and be like, no, don't you want my present, Billy? And they're like, God damn, lady, give us a minute.
She clearly saw the movie or read the book Cell from Stephen King,
Oof.
So yeah. But no, I was thinking like these are family members from the Mask episode on Twilight Zone with the family, like all the so anyways, so yeah, we have an opening narration that Rod Serling is out of breath for.
Yeah, he runs in halfway and it goes as so. As must be obvious, this is a house hovered over by Mr. Death, an omnipresent player to the third and final act of every life. And it's been said, and probably rightfully so, that what follows this life is one of the unfathomable mysteries, an area of darkness which we, the living, reserve for the dead, or so it is said. For a moment, a child will try to cross that bridge which separates light and shadow, and, of course, he must take the only known route, the indistinct highway through the region we call the Twilight Zone.
Now, I have to ask you guys, as he was reading that, did you like go, man, there's a air of foreboding going on here? Like, it feels like Rod Serling's just like, you're going to die, and we're going to
I knew from the get-go, this bitch going to die.
Oh, yeah. Well, considering all the, she was like, oh, my heart. And, oh, I can't, I can't cut a piece of cake.
She just stopped. She's like, daddy, 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 you brought my life. Please, take me to bed. And I couldn't help but notice she called him Cliss, which was another where some characters referred to someone as Cliss.
She's actually from Budapest.
She's from Budapest?
Yeah, originally. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh. She won a Tony Award for Las Blancas.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
I was noticing with the opening prologue or the opening monologue that like when he goes what was it, shadow and something else, it's like that's part of that's like the you're entering a land of shadow and something
area of dark.
Yeah.
What?
Like that whole bit kind of reflects part of the opening like narration in the opening of the Twilight.
Oh, of the show,
like
itself?
the actual normal open.
Yeah, the writer of this episode's like, what would be good for an opening? Let's just take portions of the actual opening and throw it into the opening narration.
I really like that opening. Can we get it again?
So good, you gotta say it twice.
Yeah, Ross is like, I already did this shit in the first season when we first started this. I don't want to reread this.
I will say that the opening narration doesn't. I'm not gonna say it just seems totally un-Rod Serling, but knowing that he did not write this, it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't. It seems like someone who is trying to write like Rod Serling for this narration. Like they wrote it for him, obviously, but I can tell when looking at it. I mean, if I didn't know, I wouldn't know. But I mean, that I know he didn't write it. I'm like, yeah, I see that. It doesn't have quite that same cheeky wordplay that he usually has.
True.
In his narrations.
It's like Forrest Whitaker doing the 2000s Twilight Zone. Yeah,
it's somebody imitating, and it's a fairly good imitation, but it's like someone imitating Rod Serling. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's missing that. He is like really good with wordplay.
Very.
Yeah, and his cadence is unique.
Yeah, he can take his opening and closing narrations are usually really just interesting. This one's a little bit more straightforward, but it's like they put those words in there like omnipresent and stuff like that, and like a little bit of wordplay trying to mimic that, but they didn't quite get that unique Serling feel. Watch, it'll come out that he wrote this, but whatever.
No, he absolutely didn't. It was Charles Beaumont. It was this other guy, Sandler, and then there was an Idelson as well.
Yeah, William Idelson was on Dick Van Dyke, apparently. So
well, there you go.
Yeah.
I want to call the kids acting in this is just chef's kiss, superb. Don't be sick, Grandma. Please don't be sick.
Yeah, it feels like he
Good late, kid.
Yeah.
Wish you into the cornfield if you don't behave yourself.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and Bill Mumy is what, 5 years old in this, so.
Dude, he does this weird, like when he says that he wants to talk to his grandma, he does this weird, like, like when dogs are intrigued by like what you've got, it's like, That's what he was doing. He's like, can I call grandma, please? I can't do it.
Pulled a Megan. He's just like,
yeah, exactly.
No, you just need to do dance.
I can't do the dance. Don't have that much
do the Megan
mobility. Did the doting grandma like make you change your background, Nick?
Yes. I was so sad that I was doing my Movie Emporium background. I was in remission or whatever.
I'll make you feel better. But,
Bill Mumy, you can't blame him for, I think he does a much better job in It's a Wonderful Life, or it's a Good Life, or whatever that. Isn't he like the angel in It's a Wonderful Life? Isn't he Clarence or some shit?
Wow. He got that Benjamin Button disease, doesn't he?
Yeah, right.
He's aging backwards.
Exactly. He started as a 70-year-old man and turned into a 5-year-old kid. Good times. But basically there is no real act break in this episode. It just goes to commercial a couple times, but there's no, we talked about this last night, but there's no, the weird cave with the Twilight Zone logo. It goes or whatever. Yeah. I'm kind of curious
on the Blu-rays.
Right. I'm kind of curious of why there's a cave. Like, is the Twilight Zone like where Jesus is being held? I mean, what's going on here?
Well, it could be the whole, like, the story about the guy that, like, left the cave and went out and did stuff, but everybody was scared of leaving the cave because of the shadows, and then he comes back and they're like, you're a shadow, and I don't know. I always thought
I'm just gonna go with the Jesus metaphor.
Oh, God,
Rod Serling's Jesus. And
I mean, he's pretty awesome. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, he comes out every January. Jesus. Yeah. He's gonna fly in a big cigarette, smoking it.
I was gonna say everybody wanted Snoo that was in that cave.
Is he a vampire?
He wanted
slayer?
something. He is. Rod Serling, Vampire Slayer, played by Nicolas Cage. But okay, so they go up there. Grandma dies, even against the wishes of the doctor, and
she
Billy's
dies
like,
against the wishes of the doctor.
No, she goes.
Doctor's
out,
like,
you will
live,
not die.
The doctor's like, and they're like,
yeah, I love how he walked down the stairs and Kliss looks at, he's like, and the doctor just walks down and goes, and then goes down and tells him she didn't make it. I was like, what? Why'd you preface it with a?
Because he needs some Mento. He's like, but no, like Billy really wants to go see his grandmother, and like Kliss is like, no, and Billy's like, yes, and the doctor's like,
yeah, he really had to talk him into it too. They're like, no, he shouldn't go up there. I want to go see grandma. No, I want to see grandma. Okay, so that's why you got a spoiled brat ass kid right there.
Yeah. I mean, he did just get he did just get a cord with a child's telephone. So
yay.
Okay, so they go up to the room. Grandma's like, I want Billy to go with me to the afterlife. This is some poltergeist bullshit. And she blames Sylvia for everything. And Sylvia's like, fuck you. Die, woman.
Did she actually say that? Wow, that's pretty crazy.
And that's I don't know. I have the unedited version, so that's what she's Paramount Plus is going raunchy with this series. I think they were mouthing some other word. They just Paramount's like, nope, we're gonna say fuck you.
Absolutely. They used AI to take out all the F-bombs.
Yeah,
I know, right?
Because that's what they did in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
They did.
AI bots.
They do have shows like Yellowstone, so I mean anything's possible in this day and age. But
yeah,
I mean, to be fairly honest, what do you guys think of this? Like, it's random. I talk about random shit. No, but like grandma dying. It's dark. It's depressing. She wants Billy to go with him, like I said, poltergeist style, and yeah. It's really kind of where the act break really kind of ends because it goes commercial before Billy starts talking on his phone, and Sylvia's like, he needs to go into a sane asylum and shit. But what do you guys think about this kind of grandma dying? Jacob's like,
I can't say with all Twilight Zone episodes, but a lot of them, especially ones like this, you can kind of get a feel for what's going on and what's happening, but I can't always like pick out what's going to happen. I'm just kind of like, that's what makes Twilight Zone pretty cool. This one, I kind of like knew from the get-go. Before she even went up there and died, I was like, yeah, she gonna die. Got a phone. She's gonna call him. I mean, I didn't know the ultimate eventual end, how that was gonna go down, but I mean, the basic premise of it all, I like immediately knew. And that may have been what didn't sit totally right with me with the episode, since I knew exactly what was going to happen up until that very last thing. It's like I was just writing the episode out at that point. I was like, okay, nothing is really, and I would have been okay with the same thing happening, but nothing like exactly what I thought happened the way I exactly thought it would happen. So it was like, it's like watching a movie that has like a big spoiler in it, but somebody ruins it for you. You go watch it. It's just not the same experience. You're just kind of like, okay, well, I know what's going to happen. So
like when they ruined Showgirls for me. I'm like, I wanted to watch those boobies flying everywhere, and you ruined it.
I wanted to be surprised by that fucking in the pool scene, but
it's like watching Sallow or something like that.
I kept expecting someone to scream out, "I'm so excited! I'm so excited!" And there was none of that.
Can't hide it.
I'm so
come on,
scared.
Come on.
And all of a sudden, Sylvia goes and pulls out a chair and just pulls a string. She's like, "Pull the string," and then the water just wraps her.
String, Chris. Please pull the string.
Leave it up to a robot.
This is how we did it in the ghetto.
Good Lord.
Elvis
Gone off the rails.
No, every time we talk about that in the ghetto, I think Cartman singing "In the Ghetto."
In the ghetto. That was terrible.
Kenny's house.
Oh, good Lord.
Trev, what did you think about Grandma dying?
Well, she had to go sometime, and she was dressed like a Victorian, so it makes sense that she went out like a Victorian on her back.
Well, you know how we actually let me ask. Let me ask you guys this question: do you think the death happened too quickly, or do you how we complain sometimes that the story takes forever to get going, or it moves too quickly? Do you think they could have used an hour for this episode, or do you think 24?
No.
You don't think they should have
No, because it's coming. I don't think anybody was surprised that she died. So things like that, it's like, no, don't draw it out. Just do it.
Well, I mean, and everything that happened up to when she passed, I think, like you said, I think even a first-time viewer of this would have seen that. I don't think it was any question that, okay, you've got an older lady that is talking about, the fact that her time is limited and all the rest. It would have been, the big twist would have been if she hadn't passed. But if you get, if you give, your cherished grandson a toy phone or whatever, it's basically, okay, she's going.
And it's a Twilight Zone episode.
Yes.
And they really talked up that whole, you can talk to me anytime, no matter where I am, even when I'm not with you. By the way, I'm not going to be with you for long. I'm going to go away. I'm going to fucking die eventually. But you can talk to me anytime on this phone, no matter what. It's like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're like, I wonder what's going to happen on the other end of that line. It really feels like even though this is a Twilight Zone episode and it deals with like sci-fi and horror and all that stuff, it makes you wonder if what movie was I watching? The Fablemans or something like that. I was watching The Fablemans, and there's a segment where Michelle Williams' character's grandmother dies, and she gets this call, or she thinks she gets this call, and it's dealing with like the grief and idea of like she thinks she hears her mother, and I question whether the grandmother is actually on the other end of that line, but then again, it's a Twilight Zone, so anything's possible. So it's definitely dealing with like the grief of like this telephone's supposed to help this kid, kind of, I don't know, understand that, even though the grandmother's not there anymore, she's kind of there. And, I don't know. It's weird because it's like, is he really talking to her? And it's played out like, maybe he's crazy because, if you ever watch a movie, or if you ever read Goosebumps, half those books are kids, dealing with situations that the parents don't believe them in. So it's like that type of scenario here. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean,
it's because he's trying to cross that bridge that separates light and shadow.
I mean, in theory, you could look at this.
You might be correct.
Yeah. In theory, you could look at this as his imagination was so strong, or his will was so strong, that he brought some version of her back. If you wanted to go that route.
We don't see him at the end of the episode, so technically he could be the same character from It's a Good Life.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm just saying. Anyways, yeah. So grandma dies. They have a funeral like 6 weeks later or some shit. I don't know. The time is not really important, I guess, in this episode. It just kind of dies, and the kid starts talking on the phone and laughing, and it's kind of weird. And Sylvia's like, I hate her, and then it's like, who are you talking to? Grandma? Like, that's not possible. And Yeah, it gets really dark because grandma is like, if you're, what was the movie I was watching where like the invisible friend or whatever ends up being, what movie was that? Where the invisible friend's trying to capture, outside of Sinister, there's another movie that came out a couple years ago where the person has an invisible friend and
Insidious?
the invisible friend's trying to take, what's that?
Insidious? No.
I think not Insidious. It's like Come Play or something like that. I think it's called.
I
Where
mean, there's a lot of those kind of
and that's kind
movies.
of what's happening here. It's like almost like it's not really grandma. It's kind of a
like a demon or
s-
something. Well, it's like
yeah,
Annabelle,
spook
it's
specter.
like it wasn't, like a spirit of a person that died. It's an actual demon.
Was this directed by James Wan? He's known for doing like weird fucking, demonic characters.
When the mom comes in there and she like snatches the phone from him, I thought that was really well done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It made me want, like, you want to hear what's on the other end. Which could be really creepy if you hear somebody like whispering or something. But it's one of those situations where I'm like, I want to hear it, but I think if I did, it would lose some of its impactfulness. So I think that was like well done, how they didn't let you hear it, but you clearly know what she heard. I think she did give it that whole execution right there was really well done.
Well, I was just gonna add I wrote this down, like the guy that almost hit Billy. Like he was like, well, I just he was so incensed by this kid running into the road. It's like, yeah, that's a thing, but he's a kid. Calm your tits.
I forgot all about that part.
well, yeah,
it was
yeah.
Nan Adams driving the car.
Right.
He's like, all right, well, he's safe. I'm going back out here with my wife in the car. Or this lady who picked me up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the hitchhiker. He's like, can I get a ride?
And I tell you, the babysitter was so stereotypically like 50s.
Yeah, right.
Oh my God.
Look here, Scout. You got to stay out of the street.
But that's like this whole episode after Grandma dies is like the build up to this kid being kind of manipulated by whatever he's being manipulated by, and parents are trying to, because the whole episode once again is dealing with grief, so the parents are trying to help the kid but also let him go through the grief as easy as possible, but they're also worried that he might be taking this phone to literally, like, apparently this kid lives in the 2020s where phones are like our side piece and stuff like that. We're like really connected to them, but yeah,
a black phone.
Exactly.
Maybe.
No, it was red.
Jacob, you may be onto something, sir.
It was black and white, so
hard to tell.
Was this written by Scott Derrickson? Maybe,
possibly.
But there's a lot of like them trying to get this kid to move past the grandmother. The grandmother is very important to the kid. Perfectly all right. I was very close to my grandmother. It's just how we are. I'm sure you guys were close. At least I think for the most part, you guys were close to your grandparents. I don't know, but
my grandparents died before I was born.
Well, yeah, my grandfather's died before I was born, so I'm right there with you. Jacob,
close to
my grandparents that died.
I was close to my grandfather on my dad's side, but he passed away a long time ago. But there was another set of grandparents. They were alive. We'll leave it at that.
That's about it. Yeah. Okay.
Sometimes that's what it is.
They were there.
That's right. They were.
Yeah.
Anyway, so with that said, anyway, they're trying to get him to move past, and once again, like we said earlier, Billy gets almost hit by a car, which I think was intentional. And the simple fact, I think grandmother wanted Billy to come to the whatever weird kind of chaotic afterlife that she lives in.
But what was going on the other end of that phone? I mean, how was she telling a 5-year-old kid? I mean, I get, hey, come be with grandma. Okay.
Yeah.
Where are you? Where do I go? You need to kill yourself.
Well, you just say,
grandma. Jump out in front of a car. It'll be over real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like most kids would be like, I mean, I do want to really see you and all, but
well, he was a rather stupid kiddo. I mean, if we're being honest, he was dumb.
Look at the kid. Okay, I'm going to bring up, this is really kind of off,
Grandma.
weird tangent.
Don't be sick.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind. The little kid in that movie. He chases after the alien spaceships, runs right into the middle of a road. Kids do weird. I don't have kids. Jacob, you know this. You have kids. You probably know. Don't they do weird shit when they're young? Don't they like?
I mean, yeah, like
maybe ways to kill themselves.
My 2-year-old daughter will make a beeline for the road sometimes, but she's 2. I mean, holding a conversation with her is like it sounds like Doodle Bob. I mean, but like a 5-year-old, and this kid, I figured he was more than 5, but yeah, 5-year-old, no, I'm gonna go jump in front of a car so I can kill myself. I think most 5-year-olds have at least a basic concept of death and that it's not good, or at least getting hit by a car, not gonna be fun. But hey,
well, wait till we later talk about the pool or the little pool area where Billy's like staring sadly into it. How quickly he drowns. It's fucking crazy, but
that situation I was gonna talk about that happened really quick, and I feel like they maybe should have like been looking for him a little longer, because I feel like the amount of time that he would have had to do this thing and they had to get to him, it would have just been like, okay, nothing happened.
Well, and more so than that, like the one medic guy says, "Oh, if you had called us sooner, if you had found him sooner, we could save him."
If I called you sooner, it would have been before it happened.
Exactly. Would have been some precognition up in this bitch.
Yeah. It's like
he
time has
runs
no
out of
meaning.
the room, and then they find him.
Well, it almost feels like that. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like from the time this is the Twilight Zone, so from the time they moved down the stairs, it's like 30 years had passed or some shit. Most of this episode is like Cliff's trying to deal with the death of his mother or whatever, and looking at the bracelet and Triv dying. Apparently, Triv's been connected with the grandma. She's
no, God, no. Fuck that.
But I mean, ultimately, this leads to kind of where we were just talking about, Billy talking at night, getting very angry, and running out of the room. And 10 years later, they find the kid in the little pool area or the little pond, drowned.
Yeah, he drowned himself.
Yeah, he literally drowned himself. It's like this episode went from a kid losing his grandmother to talking to the grandmother going, that random guy that's gonna be driving down the road, like, in the Back to the Future where, what's his face is gonna fall in front of the car. Go out and kill yourself. If that doesn't work, give it a few days, and then we'll find a way to kill you in the reflecting pool that you see like halfway through the episode. It's this shit like this. Like I think I talked about this last week, but there was a video I watched talking about how this episode is just a really dark look into human psychology after someone dies, and what would happen if someone was very influential on you, and how would that affect you if you had a chance to talk to them. But it's just like at some point the grandmother made a deal with like Satan from Legend or something like that, and just
Mr. Death.
Tim Curry.
He made a deal with Mr. Death from a few episodes back.
Right. And it just like goes full on like evil devil woman, and it's like, I'm gonna take my grandmother or grandkid with me. It's just like, Jesus Christ.
Well, the one thing you could say about both, the one thing you could say about both the grandma and the kid, they are of a single mind as far as like one track. I want my grandson. I don't care about the rest. Screw my son. He's not my son because he went off and married some hussy,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he was,
woman.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it truly turns into. That single, from a child perspective, that single mind of, I want to see my grandma, I miss her. And grandma's single mind of, I don't give a crap about the rest. I want my grandson. And that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Bitch. But,
right.
It was supposed to be a bit darker, and I think this would have worked better. Like they were supposed to find him. It was supposed to show him like floating in the pool, like drowned.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be like a real shocking looking scene, but apparently Bill Mummy's mummy wouldn't allow it to happen. She said she wasn't going to do it, and he said, the kid, he said, I wanted to do it. I was a very good swimmer, but mom was terrified I'd get some weird ideas about suicide if I did.
Well, hell, just watching this episode, I felt like, maybe I should go jump off a skyscraper or something like that. It's like,
damn.
No,
where are you going to find a skyscraper at this time of night?
You don't know what I can create in my virtual reality headset.
Yeah, that's not
I'll
the same
do the plank
thing.
I'll do the plank
experience.
That's not the same thing.
No, but like in all honesty, like this whole episode is just it's making you think about mortality in general and just like how it affects you, you know, depending on how you felt about the person who died and stuff like that. And, you know, I talked about this, we were recording an episode and I found out my friend had died during the episode and we had to like re-edit and all that shit. And it's funny because you like want to talk to him, but you're worried that like they made a deal with the devil or something like that, and they're going to try and find a way to bring you back to the other side. But it basically works out. This kid is he in an iron lung? Like what's going on with this?
What they had going on there. They had all kinds of machinery going on there.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe a respirator? It wouldn't be an iron lung, which I mean, iron lung kind of is, but some type of respirator or something. Maybe that's what they had.
I don't know. It was
back then.
That, or I didn't know if maybe he was intubated and they were like pulling water out of his lungs or something.
Yeah, it's like a pump or something. I don't know.
That's what it
like
looked
a bunch
like.
of machinery, and I was like, they just brought this shit to the house.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's what happens when you bring your milkshake to the yard. You know, all the grannies come back and
all the EMS.
Yeah.
to the yard.
Anyway, so Cliff is really upset. He picks up the toy phone and he's like, "Mother, if you're there, bring my children back. Just bring them back. I just want them." Yes, he is very susceptible to running in roads. Yes, he will drown himself every chance he gets. Yeah, but bring him back. We need him in another episode of Twilight Zone. Just bring it back.
She said, "I'm bringing it back."
The Twilight Zone companion did actually talk about this whole soliloquy and how it started a lot more like less eloquent, I guess would be the way to state it. But then it turned into something a little bit more eloquent, you know, more from the perspective of, hey, you said you loved him, you said you cared about him, but, you know, he hasn't had the chance to be anything. Like she's like, or he was like, I you know, he hasn't had the chance to wear long pants or leave his room or
damn his long pants. He needs long pants, damn it.
It's like he's wearing long pants the other day. But
he hasn't watched the what is that, tight pants? I got tight pants on.
Oh.
He hasn't experienced skinny jeans yet.
He hasn't had the chance to have the red acid or the blue acid.
Like, I'd love to see the 2022 version of this.
Oh God.
Ma, bring him back. He ain't got his dick wet yet.
He hasn't had a chance to wear he hasn't had a chance to wear jeans that have like gigantic holes in them.
Yeah.
Oh,
painted on.
Oh shit. So with that said, the prayers work. The kid comes back. They like, thank Lord, it's a miracle. Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Prayers brought his boy back to the yard, and he's like, Grandma, you're a fucking crazy asshole, and you can't have my
Hallelujah,
son.
Grandma.
He's like that baby meme, like the baby's like
all of a sudden we're with Ally McBeal. Holy shit.
Yeah, right.
Oh no, that
you
okay.
took it way back there.
No, the baby meme, like the yeah.
Praise Jesus, yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of where the episode kind of ends. It ends with like Rod Serling going into narration as the two hold each other, Sylvia and Cliff. And
well, you know, we never see the kid again. Like we don't see him, you know,
yeah,
like
he's too busy. I would say he's too busy now putting people in cornfields, you know.
Yeah, it's true.
Trying to decide how he's gonna try and kill himself next.
Oof.
No.
Oof.
Anyway.
He's probably going to he's probably gonna like ride a train or something like that, you know. Right on the train.
In closing.
He's gonna go eat some asbestos.
He's gonna be he turns into the little kid from Night of the Meek. What's it, Percival?
Oh yeah.
Percival Smithers. What a new front name.
But with that said, before we get into closing narration, what do you guys think about the episode overall? You know, closing thoughts, stuff like that.
I thought it was all right.
We're gonna have an interesting talk during the.
Yeah, I just thought it was. I like the idea behind it and the tone it was going for, but like I said earlier, it just seemed like it was. I don't know, like it was missing something. I don't know. It was just there was nothing that I was caught off guard by. Okay, finding the kid in the pool, the pond or whatever, That was kind of like, oh, okay, they went there. I wasn't really surprised by that. I was surprised that that was in a show in 1960.
Yeah.
Yeah, this would have been 60, I guess.
60 or 61. Oh, 61 it would have been.
61.
Right?
Well, early 60s. I was surprised that they put that there. But really it wasn't like, oh my God, because I kind of, we already knew the kid was trying to off himself. So I mean, yeah, that I didn't hate it. I mean, it was fine, but I wasn't like enamored by it or anything. I thought that it had some good stuff, like the reaction from the mom, that whole thing. I thought that was really well executed. It is kind of a testament to you don't always have to show everything. By show, I mean like here, but you know what I mean. But yeah, I thought it was fine. It was decent.
True.
I would say that sorry. I'm of two minds about this. Like, I know with a lot of like the more heartfelt, whether they be dark or whether they be really light episodes, we tend to put them up pretty high. I didn't feel quite the same way about this one the same way I did, or I didn't feel about this one the way I did like Nightmare as a Child or Purple Testament.
Yeah, it didn't hit quite as hard.
Yeah, it struck in a different way. I'm not gonna say it's not a bad episode by any stretch, and it certainly like most of the time with episodes like this, like we kind of put them up by like where the Nightmare as a Child or the Purple Testament. I don't know that this was that quite as good of an episode. It's a solid episode. I certainly was left with things to think about and kind of the way how you would handle that kind of a situation if you ran across it, especially with the antagonism that there is towards like the Sylvia especially. I don't know. Like, I liked it. I can say that there was a lot of good stuff. Like Jacob said, it was pretty predictable. You could see where it was going pretty right on. And the kid killing himself. I mean, yeah, I don't know how they got past the censors with that back in the day, but
because they didn't show him. That's kind of how they. I'm assuming that's why.
I was surprised that they planned on showing him though.
Yeah,
the reason they didn't was because the mom was like, "Nah," but like I was surprised that they actually were going to show that image of the kid. I mean, it's not gruesome, but
it's still a kid dead in the water.
6-year-old boy floating around in water, drowned. That's kind of a holy shit. I think that would have been, and I'm not one for shock value usually. I think it can be cheap, but I feel like, especially given the time that this came out and everything, that would have been very like impactful. Like, would it have made the episode better? I don't know, but I think it would have made that moment really hit a lot more.
Yeah. I will also say I appreciated the fact that like they went with the kid like hearing grandma, but then they also had the mom hear grandma. So that whole like it wasn't you, because with something like that you could say, okay, it's his imagination or it's some other force. With this, it kind of grounds it a little bit.
Yeah, the grandma's like, "You dumb bitch."
Pretty much, yeah.
Either that or they're both fucking.
My
crazy.
milkshake brings your grandson to my grandson to the yard.
You dumb bitch. He's gonna be deader than you. I don't know. Anyways, here's where I stand on this, and we'll talk about this in the rankings. This episode is a little too uncomfortable for me, to be fairly honest. It's too dark. I think it's too mean-spirited, to be fairly honest, and I think it ruins the whole concept of the idea of losing a relative or losing someone. And maybe it hits differently because losing someone just recently, but it's just like there's no levity to this at all. It's like the grandmother's mean and mean-spirited, and
I wouldn't necessarily take it. I don't think it's mean per se. I think it's single-minded. When because you think about like,
but it comes off like nothing good is happening to this family at all. It's just like there's gotta. I mean, I'll say the kid surviving. That's based on the grandmother going, okay, fine. I guess my deal with the devil is no longer valid. It's just, I don't know.
It's a loneliness thing. I
took notice of, but I wasn't gonna talk on it because it's kind of hard to articulate. But it's like in real life. Okay, real life and fantasy, of course, are two different things. But in real life, I will say, like, I could see that situation. I didn't see her as like a mean person. And I didn't even see them as mean. I saw a family that had someone with, lots of illness who put a big strain on their family, not on her, not being her fault, just like, you know, her illness and everything, them being caretakers, it put a strain on them. And, you know, you can get frustrated with that stuff. And I think that's kind of what I picked. I did like how that was put in there, how it showed them kind of like almost rolling their eyes when she came in, because that seemed a bit more real. Because the real is, at the end of the day, as much as we say we want to, you know, if put in a situation like that, we would be, you know, perfect all the time. The fact of the matter is we're all human. So sometimes, you know, things get on your nerves. They, you know, you get frustrated by things like of a person who, you know, maybe you're always having to care for and stuff like that. It happens. I mean, it's all how you deal with that, I guess. And they were just kind of between themselves, like, and also she, I think, is just an older person who's probably by herself for a long time, and now she's not. So she always has, or at least for a long time, kind of been single-minded. And maybe I'm looking way too into this, but like, it's always been about her, or it has been for a long time. And she does kind of see this little boy as her, you know, her getting her son back, who was all she had. And yeah, it is kind of selfish, but it's almost kind of like all she's known for a long time. So I didn't see it as malicious. I just saw it as kind of just how life worked out for her. So I liked how the episode, and I could be wrong, maybe they weren't trying to do this, but I felt like it was a little bit more real in that way of showing how, you know, yeah, she comes off as kind of a dick in some ways, but I don't think it was malicious. I mean, yes, it was selfish. She was a selfish person. And then if you into the afterlife, she was still being a selfish person, but I didn't think it was malicious so much. I think that, you know, the whole afterlife thing could be chalked up to, you know, they say that when, you know, in these worlds, if you believe in the afterlife, they say like you know, your spirit or whatever gets twisted around, and maybe you're not, I don't know, I'm probably not articulating this very well, but like you're not trying to be mean or bad, but just like being in that state you're not supposed to be. So you know, things get twisted around. I like that. I felt like that was more realistic. That's hard to project in even a movie or a show or anything, but especially 24 minutes. Because people see, they either see these two, like you said, it seemed like there wasn't much levity, because they either see these, you know, the man and the woman, the husband and wife, rolling their eyes and being kind of dismissive of the grandmother, and they're like, oh, what an asshole, this sick old lady, and you guys are being dicks. Or you see this old woman doing this thing, and we're just like, oh, what a bitch. She's just like a selfish ass. But I mean, it's just kind of, they're just being people, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the writer's intention. It seems like, because these are little cues, like it seems like maybe not this exact experience, of course, but like having a loved one in the house for a long period of time and being a caregiver, it seems like maybe this person had some experience with that and try to inject some of that. That's a hard thing to do. And that's why most shows, movies, and all that don't do it, because it's like a long-term thing to like really understand that. So I do wonder if that's what it was. These are just flawed, real people with a dumbass kid who tries to kill himself. But I mean, that I did kind of look at it like that. Me myself personally, but I know I just said a bunch of hyperbole. But
no, I think that's fair.
No, actually,
it
makes sense.
I would add too that, like, as a grandparent, like your grandkids, you know, you have your kids, but that one step removed thing. Like, look at how many grandparents look at their grandkids and see my grandkid can do no wrong. You know, like that perspective of there is not, it's not a more pure love, but it's like that. It's a different kind of love than what you have for your kids, because you didn't outrightly raise them. So
and they also don't have to. Usually, grandparents don't have to chastise their grandchildren very much. Really, It's more just all the good.
So there is that it almost, and considering the age and considering where she was at, like they even said, okay, you know, she's hopped up on a bunch of medication. She's not going to be the person that you remember, which is true. You know, you get to someone at that age, if they've been through a heart attack or their body has been through that much stuff, they're not in their right mind. And to some extent, you could almost say that she became like a kid herself, like that single-minded purpose of, I want to be with my grandson. I love him more than life itself, you know, breaking through the veil or whatever the hell you want to call it. And, you know, that's what it became. Like, it was not that it's a love story, it's kind of a screwed up thing, but like the intention of wanting to be with the person that understands and loves you unconditionally the way that a little kid does.
Sure.
You know, to some extent.
Well, also,
Yeah,
real quick, I liked how
go ahead.
even though it showed that they were like frustrated with her, and there was a dynamic there between this family for sure. When she passed or got sick or was about to pass, rather than the doctor come down, you could see that they were all still very concerned.
Oh yeah.
It was like, and that's what did it for. I was like, okay, I see that it's not like they just all hate each other. It's just, people
it's normal family frustration.
Get on people's fucking nerves sometimes. It doesn't mean you don't love them, but then when shit goes down, they actually do care. Even though the wife, even though she was kind of like, damn, lady, cut me a break. And she was rough to her, but she still was, that was still someone that she had at least some feelings for. So that's what I saw. Maybe I'm taking personal experiences away from it. I don't know, but that's what I saw.
But that's part of any of these episodes. I mean, part of what makes a Twilight Zone good is the ability to kind of see it from multiple different perspectives. I mean, we've kind of brought up 3 perspectives here. I mean, I think that's fair. And, they're all valid and everything too. So
I think, and Nick, I know you had something to say, but I'm going to say this a minute ago. I wonder how different, and I think it would be the same story, same everything, but I think it would have been much tighter. I wonder if Rod Serling had written the story. Like if he was given the story and said if he had written the screenplay rather or teleplay, if he had written it, how and had more involvement in this, how would it have been different? I feel like it probably would have been a bit tighter in some spots, and that would have, because I don't have a problem with the story. It just seemed, I don't know. Like I said, something's missing. It seemed like it was just missing something. Maybe it was missing Rod Serling. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know, but it was missing that Twilight Zone thing for me personally. I know you were trying to say something, Nick. I talked over you like twice. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, like, I was really close to my grandmother and stuff like that, and she was very much a very stern individual. But I don't know. It's that's all I really had to say. It's just, and maybe this episode, Rod Serling didn't feel like he needed to write, on the simple fact that maybe like it affected him or something like that. I don't know. It's weird to have an episode like this not be written by Rod Serling, because
he's so involved.
He writes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That is what makes this one stand out. Like, it's not unnatural for TV shows, especially, to have different writers for different episodes, especially in an anthology series. But he's so involved, either on a producer level or a writer level. Like I said, this is the first one in every one of them, and then there's this one. And it's not like, oh, from here on out, he's not as involved. No, he's like, he goes back to being involved. What was it about this one?
I don't know. I know in the 5th season he kind of starts to take a step back a little bit from episodes and stuff, but
that was there at the end.
Yeah,
that was studio interference and stuff, I believe. But
yeah,
right. Yeah, it's crazy to see. Right, it's crazy to see the trajectory of this series when it first started to when it ended. But
I will also say, and Nick, you can leave this in or take this out, but Dan and I watched a Carol for Another Christmas, and it was done in 64 after this wrapped, and it's just as a writer on it, he didn't have any other things with it. But if you get the chance to watch it, or at the end of this, when we get done with this series, I think we should review it, because it is a Twilight Zone ending that should have been. It is so, there's so much shit that goes down in that. It is fascinating.
Oh, you mean you don't like the bewitching pool as the conclusion to the Twilight Zone?
No, not really.
Oh man,
just saying.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's it. It brings up a lot of interesting subjects, as you guys both talked about as I was listening, because that's the reason I wasn't talking, because I was listening to kind of make up my mind of where I want to put this episode. But yeah, it's a weird episode. It really is. It's a very dark and dreary and depressing, but it feels like it is trying to have a really heady message. But I don't know.
Honestly, after talking about it, my opinion of it raised a little bit.
So he's basically saying this is perchance a dream levels.
No, I still have issues with this episode, and my complaints still stand. But I always love the episodes that, even if it's not what they had initially intended, it gets us to talking just like really like seriously, like, oh, what if it was this, or what if this is going on, what if that's going on? That means that there's something there. There's something there worth talking about. I just think that I'm going to go with execution. I'm going to say that maybe some of the execution I thought was really good, but I think like the overall execution is just missing something. I don't know. So I can't even put my finger on it exactly, but I do like the story and some of the things they decided to do with the characters, I think was really interesting.
Yeah, all right, cool. So with that said, Jacob, hit us up with closing narration.
Of course. A toy telephone, an act of faith, a set of improbable circumstances, all combined to probe a mystery, to fathom a depth, to send a facet of light into a dark after region, to be believed or disbelieved, depending on your frame of reference, a fact or a fantasy, a substance or a shadow, but all of it very much a part of the Twilight Zone.
Jacob said probe.
So thoughts on that?
He said probe.
So thoughts on the outro. Do you think that sounds more like Serling, or is that just as kind of? Yeah, I was gonna say, to me personally, it sounds a little bit more Serling-esque.
I was thinking that when I was reading it. It
Rod
seems
Serling,
more
like
Serling-esque.
Well, I was gonna say Rod Serling throws his dick on the table. He's like, fuck this shit. I'm gonna do it my way. He does it off the cuff. He's swinging that dick around. Yeah.
Check out Hot Rod's hot ride.
So that is going to be kind of discussion on Long Distance Call season 2 episode 22. I do have a closing narration. I'm going to see if you guys remember what episode this is from. I'm going to do not my
are we
Twilight,
doing
not
this
Rod
before
Serling.
we rank it?
Yeah, no, this is closing narration. Yeah, we're going to do before ranking.
Oh, okay.
So here's the closing narration. Let this be the postscript. Let this be the postscript. Should you be warned out of the rigors of competing in a very competitive world, if you're distraught from having to share your existence with the noises and neurosis of the 20th century, if you crave serenity, this is why I don't read this shit, but want it full time with no strings attached, get yourself a workroom in a basement, and then drop a note to Dr. and Mrs. William Lauren. They're a coupleless child who made a comfort at life's work, and maybe they're. Well, let me finish. Maybe they are a few do-it-yourself pamphlets still available in the Twilight Zone.
I remember reading that.
You know,
that's the other video, the first videotaped episode.
The lateness of the hour.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think so. Is it?
I know.
Yeah, lateness of the hour. I didn't know. I was trying to find a closing narration that maybe that you gotta be like obscure and obtuse with like the F.
And that's the one I picked. I was like, yeah, all the other ones, but I don't know.
Yay.
Well, there was one like, yeah, they probably know that. So there you go. Lateness of the hour. An episode we recorded, not very good. Damn bitchy woman. So with that said, getting that out of the way, let's do the Twilight rankings, the greatest list ever known to man, because we all love Twilight, or we all love ranking videos and ranking lists and ranking.
33 is still blank.
I knew you were gonna say that. The destiny of Flight 33 or whatever. Okay, so where do you guys want to put this?
I don't think it's top 10.
No, definitely not. Is this better than? I'm not gonna go there. Is this better than the last week's episode?
Maybe 15.
We're putting this at number 2.
Ass. No.
Is this better than Prime Mover? We'll start there.
24.
That was last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I was more entertained by Prime Mover. I feel like this one has more to say, and we have more to talk about with this one.
Very true.
And that's something. Well, my entertainment value, as far as this ranking goes, is always that's always the first thing I go with. I gotta admit that, like, this one, having, getting the gears turning, that's a part of it as well.
Yeah, no, agreed.
I mean, we could.
But the thing is, I have a hard time putting this above the likes of What You Need and some of those, but it also had a lot of conversation, and like any other time we've talked, there are episodes where we're gonna be like, well, I love this one, I didn't like that one. I like this. That there's always going to be that regardless.
Wow, we put the Odyssey of Flight 33 above What You Need.
I put a lot of stuff above What You Need.
I'm very surprised at that. What You Need is the one. That's the one.
That's
your
your
basis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like loses his shoes.
Yeah.
Hey, remember, I said this actually, I think I said this first episode. This list is going, or actually made the second episode. This list is going to be chaotic and out there, and
When you have three very different people putting things
Yeah.
and bringing things up, and that's half the reason that the list is how it is because of the conversation and everything else.
Yeah, and Alex called our list unwieldy.
Well, it's true.
Yeah,
but I don't think. I mean, that's going to be. You have three different people's opinions, plus different guests coming on. I think that's going to be understandable.
I'm just gonna throw out. Is this? I can't do that.
Well, you can.
Is this episode better than Time Enough at Last?
Where is that?
Number 11.
11. I don't feel like it's top 10.
Well, no, it wouldn't be top 10. It'd be...
I know it'd be 11, but I don't. It's a good episode. We had a lot of really good conversation, but
I liked Man in the Bottle better than this.
Yeah,
I thought Man in the Bottle was a very tight episode.
See, now if you're gonna say that, I'm gonna say that One for the Angels for me was a better episode, talking about death.
Is this episode better than The Hitchhiker?
I didn't hate One for the Angels, but it didn't do it for me.
Well, and it's always been a favorite of mine. So
that's a subject. Yeah, I don't think it's bad.
All of it, right?
I know that you have a higher opinion of it than I do. I don't dislike it. It didn't speak to me on that level. But I mean, I'm fine with And
I don't see this above Hitchhiker. I could see this below Hitchhiker. I'll leave it at that.
Above the Dick York episode, Penny for Your Thoughts. There's a Most Unusual Camera. Nice Place to Visit.
Yeah.
Which one was a nice place to visit?
A nice place to visit was where the guy was stuck in hell. Like he thought he was in heaven, but he ended up being in hell.
Yeah, this episode's better than that one. Then again, I like whatever, the devil or whatever in that.
The Most Unusual Camera I thought was really entertaining. It didn't have a lot going on between the years, but that was a really entertaining, goofy episode that just, once again, that was really good execution.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun. I would probably rather watch that than this.
Agreed.
So I'd say it would go under that.
I think 19 is as good a place as any. I mean, A World of Difference was where the guy, like the actor, like, was it the actor or was it the character?
That was a good one too.
Or was World of Difference? No. Yeah.
No, yeah. World of His Own was the writer one.
Right.
World of Difference is the actor and with his fucking bitch of a wife.
Yep.
Yeah. Most Unusual Camera I did like better than this episode.
I would agree with that.
But yeah, I can see this above like the bitchy woman episode.
Yeah, I'm good with 19.
Yeah, I'm cool with 19 or 20 in there. I'm good there. I like The World of Difference. I probably liked it a little more in this one, but if you guys are going to settle right there, I'm cool with that. I'm not like, no, it can't go below it.
I'm good with 19 or 20.
So yeah, I think that works. So new number 19 is Long Distance Call. Number 1 is Eye of the Beholder. Number 58, 2 episodes before episode 60, The Trouble with Templeton at the last place.
Oof.
It's at the bottom. So
it's a big bunch of oof there, eh? Don't you know?
I know, right?
Oof.
So with that said, next episode is of course The 100 Years Over the Rim, directed by Buzz Kulik, written by Rod Serling. Stars Cliff Robertson, John Crawford, Miranda Jones, and Evan Evans. Evan Evans is in this? Evan Evans. That's literally his name. Evan Evans. Yeah, right.
Wasn't that
John Aston's in it too.
What wasn't Evan Evans? Why do I like the one cowboy, the singing cowboy guy? Wasn't Evan Evans like related to that person?
No, that was
Dale Evans. No, not Dale Evans.
Jethro White. Tap dancing cowboy.
Jethro Tull.
Don't cook me no sloppy ass eggs, bitch.
There was Slim Pickens. Who was
No, it
who
was a
the one
lady.
that
It was
Slim Pickens?
Slim Pickens was a lady?
no.
She's a
Dale
lady.
Evans. Oh, God.
Whoa, she's a woman.
But not Bob Evans.
I
What was
fucked up the lyrics.
Bob Evans?
No.
What is going on here?
I don't know. Never mind.
Evan Easter?
I'm gonna go hide. Why can't I?
It's not unusual to. That's all I know.
So Triv has left the show finally. Thank God. Jacob, she's finally gone. We can be men.
Oh shit! God damn it!
Men,
because
men,
we're
men. We're men in tights.
Damn it! I screwed the pooch again.
And get ourselves in fights.
Can I go get my tights now?
No.
I got green tights.
Yeah.
Anyways, John Aston's in this episode as well as Edward Platt. So
Nice.
It's a pretty stacked cast. So we'll look forward to that.
That's what they said.
Yeah, I know. They went 100 years over the rim. Maybe rimming people. So with that said, that is the end of the episode. Jacob, Triv, it's been fun talking. Really
Absolutely.
depressing episodes. Triv, when you want to bring all the boys to the pool, where can you find them? Or where can they
I can find them at the
you?
pool.
Tell us about your pool, Triv.
Tell us about your leaky pool.
Tell all the boys about your pool.
Yeah. Well, depending upon how Nick
Of James Corden.
Oh no, not just
Where can they bring all the James
shut
Corden?
the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, Baldy. Good Lord. Shit. You can find my content, not the boys, not James Corden, but my
James
content.
Corden.
Shush. Shush.
Whoa, James Corden.
I'm gonna just go.
He was a cat. He had no butt.
Fuck y'all. Just fuck y'all sideways. Holy balls. Anyway, so you can find my content, not James Corden, not James Gordon,
Flash Gordon?
not Granny, not Flash Gordon.
Die.
My content, and not Ming the Merciless. You all are the ones that are obsessed with him, not me. Anyway, you can find my content here on YouTube at Trivial Theater. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at Trivial Theater.
And Jacob, when they want to give you burrito exploding content, where can they find the content?
You can find me at
Jake.
Anders Reviews on YouTube. That's where I drop all my content, my dope beats.
Yeah.
Not really. My content. It's I do reviews and stuff and other stuff on there. So go check it out. It's over there. It's good shit. I think I like it.
So you want people to swipe left, not right?
Hit the swipe left, swipe wherever. Just swipe that subscribe button and tickle the like button too. Like button.
And explode all over Jacob's content.
Explode all over. Just
be James Corden to his Jacob Anders.
If you've seen The Fountain and you see Hugh Jackman and he's like, that's Jacob in the light. So with that said, Jacob, Triv, I'm at
What
Movie
about your
Emporium.
content?
I don't have content.
Tell us about your
yes,
content.
you do.
I don't
Tell
know
us about your fucking content.
I'm stuck in the Twilight Zone. There is no content.
Yes, there is. You can find Nick's content at Movie Emporium, both on Twitter and on YouTube. He does a wide array of really awesome shit, so make sure to go over there and check him out.
You lie and you know it.
Josh, I'm standing.
But anyways,
what?
He said I'm lying. I'm
Oh,
just
okay,
saying I'm
okay.
standing.
I was like, what the fuck's that got to do with anything? I'm going to use that line though.
she's
I said something. Shut your mouth. I'm standing.
apparently James Cameron wants everybody to stand for the next Avatar movie. So there you go. Anyways, Movie Emporium is where all my content is at. And find us all on the audio feeds like Anchor and YouTube's and Twitter's
Outspace.
and Outspace and whatever Jacob just said. I didn't hear. So with that said, rate, subscribe, stars, give Triv all the James
subscribe.
Corden. All right.
Shush.
But with that said, for myself, Triv, and Jacob, we'll see you guys next time in the Twilight Zone. Peace out. Bye-bye.
My dead kid brings all the EMSs to the yard, and they're like,
oh my God.
"It's better than yours." Damn right.
He's better than yours.
You could save him, but I'll have to charge.
Damn right. He's better than yours. Damn right. He's better than yours.
We're so going to hell for this.
God. Am I clicking the right? I'm not clicking it.
No, Jeff. No.
Yeah, that's definitely going at the end of the episode.